Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ESL Katowice Royale. Our first round of the day is done and dusted. Our first victory royale has been picked up by #andtaboo, and they got 100 points on the board to boot. We're now set up for our round number 2, gentlemen. Welcome back to the desk, of course, Zacubus and Jason Kaplan. A crazy first game there. Are we expected to see a little bit of a change here, or are we going to see the nerves still be a little bit prevalent in these guys?
I kind of want both, right? I kind of want them to change things up and be more aggressive, but at the same time, seeing 30 people raining from the sky, to me, it gives a whole new meaning to It's Raining Men. Like, seeing that many people dropping and still alive was ridiculous.
It was so funny. Like, I was like, oh, we've reached ultimate high ground, and then there's like four more
wait a minute.
teams.
Yep.
Like, what? Come on, lads, calm down.
Are you willing to put money on how many people we have left in the final circle, or are we going to keep that between ourselves?
Right now, I'm not betting anything. It's too hard to call. Like, honestly, like, I went backstage and just had a quick chat with like Baller, and he's like, what was that about? Like, that is some serious passive play. As Jason was saying, though, I kind of hope we see a little bit of a mix-up, kind of a little bit not as well. You know, it's exciting either way, right?
So can I ask you something real quick, Zacubus?
Sure.
Again, you have such an extensive competitive history in multiple games. When you're in a situation like this on a tournament, and you have that first round, that first game, first match, whatever, it's done.
Yep.
Do you adapt your style from there? Do you look at that and take the information of how game one went and maybe change your own play style? Or do you look at it and just kind of still stick to the way you wanted to play anyways?
Sometimes it depends, but yes, you always change your play style, but it could happen in that first game, it could happen in the second game. You don't really want to trust in mixing things up too soon, you know what I mean? And if you've got 7 games to play, why risk it? Maybe try it again. If it doesn't work, then it's a real time to really mix it up and, you know, experiment a little bit more. But, you know, experimentation is like the key to this game, you know? You go absolutely crazy in this game with the things you can do. It's absolutely insane.
Okay, well, obviously we've learned a little bit about some of the players that we didn't know too much about here in Poland, representing Poland, of course. It's time for us to learn a little bit more about a couple of players, and this time it's going to be Lothar and Noisy.
Myślę, że to troszkę była taka ewolucja, jeśli chodzi o to, co jest najważniejsze w Fortnite i obecnie. Wydaje mi się, że najważniejsze jest game sense, a to, co w endgame będzie wygrywało, ponieważ już wszyscy docierają na ten etap, gdzie wszyscy potrafią bardzo dobrze budować, wszyscy bardzo dobrze aimują, ale nie wszyscy potrafią odnaleźć się w stresujących sytuacjach na końcu gry, gdzie potrafią to wykorzystać, te atuty.
To, co robimy, żeby być lepszy duo, to gramy dużo w kreatywnym, 1 na 1 i dużo scrimy gramy. Są serwery na Discord, gdzie są takie practice servers i ćwiczymy codziennie.
Nasz styl gry jest raczej spokojny i wykalkulowany, a nie staramy się raczej prowokować walki, chyba że widzimy, że mamy wielką przewagę taktyczną. A w moim przypadku, jeśli chodzi o profesjonalność w Fortnite, to była kwestia raczej zmiany po prostu kierunku kariery. Byłem profesjonalnym graczem w inną grę i chciałem po prostu przejść na drugą, więc nie było takiego momentu, w którym powiedziałbym, o, to już mogę, tylko tak naprawdę była tylko zmiana gry.
Tak się stało, że ja gram Battle Royales od dawna i wszystkie, co ja gram, to tak zdechły, nikt nie grał. I później Fortnite wyszedł i zobaczyłem i spróbowałem. Ukochałem się w to budowanie i zacząłem grać.
Pierwszy sezon Fortnite w ogóle nie grałem, tak naprawdę mimo, że grę poznałem, z racji tego, że właśnie to budowanie mi się nie podobało w grach FPS. Ale potem dopiero zauważyłem, że ten aspekt gry wprowadza strasznie duży skill gap pomiędzy graczami i dzięki temu gracze potrafią wygrywać bardzo często ponad innymi graczami, co się nieczęsto zdarza w Battle Royale.
There we go then, ladies and gentlemen. Lothar and Noisy, we learned a little bit more about them. I mean, Noisy's hair. I mean, I'm super jealous of that, right?
Thing is, I mean, yeah, you should be. I got this glorious lock of hair still in my head for now. But no, for me, what's really cool about this duo is you have these two players from such different backgrounds. So you have Lothar playing card games professionally. You have Noisy playing like FPS kind of MOBA kind of games as well in his history. And they've come together, and that kind of goes to what we touched on at the start of the show, was you have, you know, your aimers. Like Noisy is going to be the aimer, obviously, in this combo. And then you have Lothar, more of the methodical player, thinks things out, kind of plays a back position, lets Noisy go in and look for those eliminations. And that synergy between the two, it's so perfect.
Oh, for sure. Like Noisy and Lofar have been playing together for quite a while now, and they react well to each other in every instance. I mean, they did get pretty well in that late game, to be fair, as well, with all that chaos that was happening. And the great thing, as you were saying, you know, the synergy that they have between their two different play styles. Lofar will be calling out things, calling out the tactics, the rotations. I mean, I think on some of your notes here, he was saying that's his strongest point, finding the greatest positions, finding those rotations, making sure that he can avoid those fights and take the fights which favor him.
So then let me go on to that. Let me bounce off that, because we did see them in game one, tucked away on top of a hill, 0 eliminations between the two. They were playing, it seems like, almost too passive at some points. Obviously, they've made it into the late game, right? So they're almost making it into the points. But do you think there's a point where you're playing too passive? You're playing, you know, too careful?
110%. Like, we saw so many teams lined up on that with all the lovely little 1x1s ready to turret down everything that came in from the circle. And only 3 players dropped. And I'm not even sure it was on that wall, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
These are some of the replays from that first round that we had, gentlemen. Talk us through some of these. I mean, we're probably going to have to wait for a while to see some of the highlights, because it took so long for some of these engagements to go down.
You saw the drop down now, the Ivor's crew. They were able to actually get really aggressive. That's when we saw the initial knockdowns come in out of both teams. One player was knocked down from both. They both went away to actually pick up their players, their teammates, and then they try to drop in and get aggressive. And sometimes that aggression just does not work out for you.
Well, whopping doing some actually major work there, and the minigun coming out here from Ricard and Mokads.
So important as well to see. He wanted to finish that elimination, right? Knocking them down, great, good for you. You got someone on the ground, but you need those eliminations to get those points on the board.
For sure. And this is where the chaos just ensued. Everybody rotating, finding the smallest of opportunities to get those eliminations, getting in people's 1x1s. The chaos just ensues. And I've been saying chaos quite a bit.
It's the perfect word to describe what's been happening, to be fair, Zacubus.
It's actually just so absolutely hectic. I don't know how these players managed to get on top with all of that going on. I'm frightened.
With Poverty and Zeke, you were mentioning before that they are speaking English to make sure to have clear, precise, communication. At that stage of the game, you definitely need something like that, or else you're just going to be eliminated.
Yeah, it was actually Tavoski.
Tavoski and Nero. But I mean, for anyone out there, that's like a major thing you need to have, a quality to be able to communicate precisely and know what your teammate's doing.
Now, one thing I want to touch on a little bit is we heard from Lothar and Noisy, and we know that those guys like to play for the end game. As a player yourself, when you get to that, you're playing for the end game. When they find themselves in that situation where it seems like everyone's playing for that end game, does that change your mentality a little bit? Because usually you're kind of expecting to get to that final zone with a few less players alive at that point. But what goes through your head at that point? Is it we're still going to stick to our game, or do you try and think maybe we could pick up some eliminations here?
Well, when you're in that end game, your senses go into overdrive. You're basing up as quickly as you possibly can. You're looking, scouting for information. Every little bit of a flicker that you see through your 1x1 gives you that information, like not going out on the left, pushing out right. Can I take high ground? Is that footsteps above me? Is it from below? You're trying to work out every angle, and you're trying to do it in split-second timing. And in that case, you had to be like telepathic or something. It was so insane that reacting on those small instances means you're just a god, really, like to get out on top of those situations. And you gotta wait for the zone to do its thing as well. Like, if you've got the health advantage, maybe just sit in the storm a little bit, run out when you need to, play it on the little back end as much as you can, but obviously there was opportunities to get some eliminations there, and you don't want to miss those too, because if you take out one team in front of you, you can work out a whole new route for yourself going out of that, that crazy circle.
Okay, well, sorry to cut you off there, Jason,
no
because we've got to hear from another man, part of the broadcast team. We haven't heard from him for a while. So, Adam Savage, where are you? What are you up to? What have you got for us?
Thank you very much, Mark. Thanks, guys. As you can see, I'm joined by 3 fabulous ladies here on stage here. Alexandra, Olga, and Ina. Is that right? Woo! Smashed it. You look phenomenal. Like, your costumes are incredible. Alexandra, I'll ask you first. I had to help you up the stairs because you've gone for the risk of covering your face in a mask and you can't see anything. You look brilliant. How fun is it to be here at this event and to wear the cosplay that you're wearing?
Well, I don't see many cosplayers because I don't see anything, so I need to recognize people by listening to their voices, and it's hard when I don't know someone.
I like the tactic here. Rather than getting envious of other people's costumes, you've just completely blinded yourself so you don't see them, which is an amazing tactic. And this even lights up here. This is amazing. We are coming to Olga as well. Olga, how long does it take you to create costumes like this?
I did this costume about 2 weeks, but it takes longer than I did it.
We spoke to Oksana earlier on, who also was in cosplay, and she said 2 weeks as well. 2 weeks seems to be the going time it takes to make these costumes. As well, I must ask you, Ina, you look fabulous. How much do you enjoy meeting the other community of cosplayers when you come to Katowice Royale and other expos like this?
I love the community here. Everyone is so friendly and so many people smiling and give me five and other fun things. And many people dancing. I love to see it.
It's a like opportunity as well for all of you to meet up together as friends and hang out, which is great too. I'm going to ask you each one by one. If you play Fortnite and do you like Fortnite? Alexandra, are you a big Fortnite fan?
Well, I play PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds.
Okay, you play, well, yeah, Fortnite. And what about yourself? What do you play?
How long I'm playing?
Yeah.
About 3 months.
3 months. I bet you're a pro. You look the part, and that's the main thing. As you can see, so many people here are enjoying their time. So many people here are enjoying their time at Katowice Royale. So many more games coming your way. Thank you very much for chatting to me, ladies. It's been great. I'll help you down the stairs in a second, Alexandra. For now, though, let's head back up to Mark and find out what's ahead of us in game number 2.
What a helpful young man he is. Helping people down the stairs, he's catching up with everyone, giving us a feel of the room. Great job, Adam. Keep it up, buddy. Might buy you a drink later anyway. Let's talk about that last game a little bit more, because we wanted to highlight a few things meta-game-wise towards the end of the game. We kind of touched on clingers and their importance in the current meta. Talk to me a little bit about those when you get to those end zones, when you're in a heavy build situation.
So at the very end game, they're pretty difficult to pull off. Obviously, you've got to focus on moving and making one mistake with one clinger at the very end when you don't have a clear line of sight to the top end, because that's what you want to use them for, right? You want to take out the high ground, but there was just so many layers upon layers of floor between the bottom and the top. It was absolutely just mental. So using those clingers in the very, very late game were slightly written off, let's say. But, you know, a couple of circles inwards, we were seeing it used a lot. A lot of players were pressured. But what was really surprising is that not many people fell down to the clingers. Lots of people, I think it was more helpful from the circles more than anything else. There was one instance where one player was actually just getting absolutely hammered with clingers, rockets coming in, but the circle was up onto the sort of east side of things. So everybody from that backside had to push up, and they kind of built for him and saved him a little bit. So, you know, saved his own mats a little bit and found a crazy escape out of such an impossible situation, because obviously the guys trying to rotate, you know, they don't have time to, you know, just stay around because the circle's moving in. So they want to push up as fast as they can. They push over that guy, and then he found the space that he needed to push out and get himself safe.
The funny thing is we saw that happen quite a few times. We saw a couple of players just sitting on the low ground, like sub 20 HP, just kind of hoping they can survive and using the cover above them to hope that no one's looking down towards them. But when you get into these late stages, you have to really decide, is that inventory slot worth having a clinger or having a med kit or having anything else that can keep you alive, can heal you, or maybe another weapon? And that's something you have to really judge for yourself. Early game, we obviously didn't see much impact with it in terms of getting in eliminations or transitioning into eliminations. But I think that's due to the time we've had since the patch has come out. People have gotten used to the fact that, you know, my 1x1's not going to survive this. I've got to run away. I've got to actually, you know, retreat quite a bit. And I think that style we saw happen actually quite a bit over the course of that first game.
One thing we didn't see a lot of, we saw some clinger action. We didn't see them be too effective, but no drift boards, gentlemen. No drift boards whatsoever. We don't know if someone did use them, we didn't catch it, but when people were moving so slowly around the map, it wasn't too surprising, to be honest.
No, it wasn't. I mean, people obviously were doing their rotations fairly early, didn't need to be pressured to get a drift board to actually get to where they needed to get to. Very few teams are actually in a location when they were in the circle to actually pick one up as well, so there's always that.
I feel like, though, it's such a risky way of moving around the map, though, because there's not a lot of cover, right? When you're on one of the quad crashers, you have the ability of, well, the quad crasher's pretty big, right? The storming as well, a lot of HP, a lot of cover. But the drift board, you're pretty much by yourself, right? And you're kind of out in the open to be shot from so many different angles. And with how slow and cautious everyone was playing, it seemed like not to be the route to go.
I mean, taking a vehicle is always a risk. I mean, you know, when you're on the quad crasher and you've got it in spaceship mode crossing the map, if anybody lasers you out of the air, you just spin and you could end up in another team or, you know, potentially, be eliminated. But the hoverboards have a lot of, you know, movability, let's say, and they can, you know, dodge a certain amount, pretty flexible in the air, got like a little bit of air control in there too. So, you know, there are options, but
maybe it's just time, right? Maybe it's just
still
like
limited.
it's too new, and people don't want to experiment with it just too much just yet with how much money is on the line.
Yeah, in the tournament environment as well, it's going to make things a little bit tougher.
Also, you want to be able to rotate to the zone in time and also be able to farm on the way too. So a lot of players are probably, you know, what's the point of getting on the driftboard if I can, you know, farm up some brick and some metal while I'm doing the long run?
So on that note then, we think of Poverty and Zeke sitting on the Stormwing. They were just flying around the entire time until I think like the 6th or 7th circle. And then Poverty got like, I think, sniped out of the air and actually dropped down to the ground. And Zeke was like the last alive for their duo. So at that sense, yeah, you got like no eliminations off of that. You didn't get a lot of materials, and you were banking on that fact to be able to stay alive long enough to get into the top 25.
Well, you guys have done a fantastic job so far. Adam, of course, is doing a fantastic job as well. But one person that we haven't heard of so far is Stress, who is with Adam Savage at the moment. He's going to be one of our broadcast team. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thanks very much, buddy. Yeah, we're back here in the open tournament area, surrounded by players right now. I'm joined by the marvelous Stress. Great to see you here. I mean, this is an amazing event. How exciting, first and foremost, is it to be here at Katowice Royale?
It's so exciting. And the other thing about being in the free-to-play area is how intimidating the skill on show here is. And then we haven't even really seen all the action from the players up on stage. I think for me, game one was a slow and steady affair because the players, this is their first time taken to the stage here at the IEM Katowice Royale. So I want to see the pace pick up just a little bit more.
Were you surprised in that game one as well? We mentioned it to the players, hashtag and Taboo a minute ago. Like the amount of building that was going on, the amount of players left in that final circle as well was pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah, so the rest of the broadcast team were all sat backstage saying, we've never seen anything like this. Speedy, Baller, Martin Creek, we're all there like, wow, this is so different to even how scrims play out. And a lot of it, I think, is due to it being game one, players feeling out the stage. I think now that the points are on the board for players like Taboo, they already racked up 100 points. The players that aren't getting placement points, I think, have to start reaching for eliminations a little bit more. 5 points for an elimination is quite a large amount. So if you can get a good set of kills, maybe storm chasing through the back of some of those moving storms later on in the game, like, I think that pace picks up. That's where players can really start racking things up. I think it's such an important factor of this format specifically.
It's very, very exciting. I mean, you mentioned the casting team as well. The guys are brilliant. It must be so much fun working with friends and colleagues as brilliant as these lot.
It's great. We've been kind of practicing a bunch of games. We even saw a warm-up with Speedy and Baller. They played a 1v1, and I think Speedy edged it out, if I remember rightly. So these guys are great, and they know the game so very well. You know, they've been creating content, casting over at the Secret Skirmish as well. So they're the top of analysis, as well as Zacubus and the rest of the broadcast team. I'm so excited to just get into game, and I really can't wait. I'm casting game 3 onwards for 3 games with Baller, and it's the pinnacle of my weekend.
Mate, we can't wait to see it. It's coming right up, but first and foremost is game number 2. We're going to head back to Mark and the guys at the desk and find out all about that now.
Love that guy. Stress, you keep it going, buddy. I'm excited to get him on the desk as well. Not that I'm excited to get rid of you two. You've done a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Maybe you a little bit, to be honest. Zacubus, you're doing fantastically. I had heard, to be honest with you. But let's talk about our next game that's going to be coming up. Maybe some slight shifts in mentality, but talk to me about how the bus route can influence drops as well, because, you know, a lot of players will have their set strategy of where they want to drop, and sometimes that can change.
It can change, definitely, dramatically. Depending on the team, of course. Some people like to drop really early, so if a bus route is definitely over a hotspot location, a lot of teams are often talking out their strategies before they're dropping, you know, getting psyched up, not paying attention, so you can actually, you know, do a little quick sneaky drop straight off the bat, and you'll find a lot of the time that it's actually kind of clear in high-level games. But often the case is everybody has their set point. It doesn't matter how far the bus is off route, they're going to go for it anyways, no matter what, no matter how long it is and how many teams are going there.
I feel like it also controls like your pacing of how you're going to play out that round, of realizing, okay, I have to go extra far to get there. It's a lot of extra time, but I'm not farming materials. I'm not picking up weapons, that we're not looking for any sort of eliminations. So you have to take into account all right, we've lost about 30 seconds to a minute of time. We have to make that up somewhere. So either we transition and rotate really early, or we just try to farm up extra mats now and then fight our way in.
It's also important to note that you might not even get the circle. So you've lost 30 seconds, and then you've lost even more time.
Right.
So, you know, it can be a little bit risky doing that.
Okay, well, it looks like the bus might be underway, gentlemen. We're moments away from our round number 2. Just a reminder to everyone at home, our round number 1 went to hashtag and Taboo. They managed to rack up 100 points as well. So going into this round, they're going to be feeling pretty good, gentlemen, right?
They will be buzzing on set. They will be absolutely buzzing. I mean, after all that fight, why wouldn't you be? Like, that was so crazy, so hectic, so much action going on, and they triumphed over all of those stellar players.
Well, here we go then, ladies and gentlemen. Round number 2 is underway. Let's get into this one.
All right, well, here we go. As you mentioned before, we've had our Game 1 winners, and now coming into the ESL Katowice Royale, into our second match. We're going to find out if someone can dethrone our champions, but we have 7 in total today. So no rush to do it just yet. Get a clean game under your belt and see how things go. We've had the battle bus go, I believe that was from the southeast side up towards the northwest. So a nice little clean little blanket of players all across the map. And it looks like Ken and Vins want to go over
Lucky landing. Yeah. And then obviously we just shifted over here to Pleasant Park. And we have a couple of teams here. In fact, 3 teams pretty spread out. And Valhalla is a completely clear drop. This is going to be great for Lothar and Noisy.
I actually want to actually watch them quite a bit here, these 2 players, because we mentioned before, and well, speaking of Poverty, actually picks up the first elimination, it seems. But those 2 players in particular always gun for that late game. They always try to get to that position, and we've been able to see them do in Game 1. They didn't get that many eliminations, though, and the placing wasn't great. So I'm curious to see if they're going to change up that style.
They were super confident in their late game ability, and, you know, it did show that, but there was still a lot of people to deal with, you know, and everything just gets too much for them. And, you know, happens. You're going to get into the chaos. It's going to fall upon you.
The circle pretty much putting Lazy Links and Loot Lake at the center of it. So many people have a great distance to run to get there. Maybe we're going to see the driftboards being used. We hear a lot of clingers being thrown down as well, as Seba's able to survive for now as we're over at... Well, that's weird. They're fighting where we're standing, so I don't know how that works out for us here at Tomato Temple. Maybe we'll see us in the game.
It'd be kind of weird if they actually just run in front of us.
But hopefully not with clingers.
Gunshots and clingers, yeah, they would be pretty scary.
Oh, you can hear the shots being routed off as well as Yargi is actually peeking aggressively, looking for some shots.
Yeah, Yargi and Bobic actually have the better positioning here, the high ground. They can absolutely zone out Sheer down here in the bottom, and also Sebicus as well.
And as you know, they want these eliminations. Heavy sniper rifle as well. Got the pump, got the infantry rifle, which was one of the newest additions to the game. We haven't seen a lot of people using it just yet, but it does a hell of a lot of damage.
Sebicus takes a couple of shots, comes into pump range now. He's going to try and help his teammate. It's getting too hectic there. Big damage coming through. Nice shot, finds the edit. But can he find the last? Both players are down. Each teammate. Ooh! The jump pump! Lovely stuff there coming in from Yarrick.
And he's able to get his teammate back up and running too. That's like one of the most crucial points of this one. He saves his teammate, saves their chances here in Game 2. Ratri, I believe he actually lost his teammate, if I'm not mistaken, earlier on. Yeah, to Venox, who actually did secure that elimination. So now he's fighting 1v2 here up against these 2 players. And you have to imagine this should be a situation that Ratri should lose.
Yeah, well, Ratri, he needs to be really careful. He needs to make sure that he maintains the high ground as long as possible. You can't risk dropping down, even though you may have your opponents low. Even there, you're still maintaining good discipline, holding that high ground still, not committing to anything, doing the Tfue classic there as well.
He's getting unreturned damage on top of this, so he's getting some consistent damage in. Finally, he's actually going to take a shot here down to 90 HP. He's going to push in for Blexy. Almost wants to drop into this one. He's not going to hit the shot.
Absolutely stunning shot from Blexy there. Oh, a drop in the L as well. Oh, that's got to be a stinger, but Blex. That was actually a very difficult shot to pull off. Obviously, you have the advantage when you're like falling down like that. It can be hard to read the angle, you know, and Blex just picking up a beautiful flick shot with a pump.
Well, Wailing Woods, we talked about, you've heard it a lot actually in the Secret Skirmish of the natural cover you get from those trees. But as you pointed out, a lot of wood here, not a lot of brick, not a lot of metal as well. So you're pretty much being controlled in what you're going to have in terms of building.
Funny enough, I said there's not a lot of brick there, but there is a space which is actually pretty healthy in brick, but they're pretty close to it. But another team coming in with the action here, throwing down the stinks here, and it seems like Tat will go down there. Dioxide picking up a nice elimination and probably clearing out this side of the map.
Yeah, so they clean that one up. They get the eliminations most importantly. And I like the use of the stink bomb too. I mean, it's obviously something you can hold on towards the later stages of the game where it's really effective in late game. But he throws it out there to get some extra confusion, to really cause some more chaos, to take your word from you for a second, and really make sure they can get this elimination cleanly.
The good thing about the stinks is that, you know, it's guaranteed damage, goes through builds, and it also, most importantly, forces your opponent to make a move. We got some big damage coming in. D-Mind.
Oh, he was trying to keep Alu alive.
It's gone down. It's not enough to save his teammate. Evil pushing out. Interesting. Wants to play this aggressive, and now Jezek going in with the ramp push here. Can he get the high ground? And I think he has managed it. This is going to be very, very bad for Evil. He's building a 1-by-1, and he's going to get pressured by 2 from either side of him here. Has to be incredibly careful. Makes the edit and runs out very, very quickly. Tries to retake high ground. Is he going to find it? He does! Oh my god. That was really slow as well for a player of his caliber.
It's not safe, though.
It wasn't safe, and, you know, it's incredible that he managed to get up there so easily. Both players... That's it.
It was a nice try out of Evil. He did a good amount of damage to Aeom, took away his shield and a little bit of HP as well, but Nasic's going to pick up the double eliminations for his team. Guarantee now 10 points on the board.
Yep. I mean, I was impressed by Evil by retaking that high ground. It was a risky move, and he kind of stumbled a little bit as he was trying to build up. So I was really impressed that he managed to get up there, but, you know, you have to pay attention. The other boys, you know, weren't paying attention that he was pushing out of his little 1-by-1.
We've had even a talk about this. When you're being focused like that, you have to basically edit the way out of your 1-by-1 somehow and retake the high ground. Is able to do just that. It's just 1v2. Things were a little bit too tough for him, and fortunately he did fall. Philip going to be up against 2 players here. I think he's actually going to be by himself, if I'm not mistaken. And immediately, once he notices that building being torn down and replaced with walls, he's like, all right, I'm out. I'm not having any of this.
He's by himself as well, but he has that all-important rift to go, so maybe there's a hope for him in the late game. If he plays his cards right, he seems to have a lot of mats as well.
Oh, we have the Stormwing coming in. Renard going to be tagged along with Cass. And again, we saw this used out of Poverty and Zeke in the last match, and they pretty much held on to this for the entire time now. But looking at their kits, looking at the material we do see, do you feel like they could play confidently for the later stages now, or do you think they need to land and get a little bit more loot on their
They're just kind of, I think, I don't think they're going to stay in the plane so much. I think they might just fly around for maybe a circle or 2 and then decide where a good place to land is, set up shop, make sure that they can, you know, get some more mats and got a driftboard on the go.
Can we stick with him? I want to see if he's going to accidentally eliminate himself. He does have the epic AR as well on top of this.
He's run into another team here. He's put himself in a bad position. He's trying to hold off on front of the storm. Manages to do it, actually. I'm pretty impressed. But Whopping and Skits flying above with the gliders there, going down into the river.
Well, luckily for them, the storm's not going to tick for too much damage, so he has an opportunity to keep this one alive. And Whoopik and Skik, we talked about them as a lot of teams are looking at these 2 players to be the ones to watch out for. At the same rate, Hashtag and Taboo, we had a couple, like 1 or 2 duos talk about them, but flying under that radar, taking that first victory royale. Well, I want to see Skix and I want to see Whoopik really start to shine here. They've been 8 months plus together as a team.
And it's great practice because they're also in the international event next week as well. So this is good warm-up.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, if you don't dominate here, that's mentally frustrating, knowing you're going into the most competitive tournament in Fortnite history against the best players in the world. And to be able to compete against them, if you couldn't do it in this tournament, you're going to be down on yourself. But they have some time to practice.
Yeah, exactly. They have actually time to work out a couple of strategies and how they want to rework and how they push this out. And exchanging a little bit of AR shots here. Grey Assault Rifle coming in. Still a lot of ammo. Also got that legendary pump. Wants to push him real close with that. 9 clingers there. Looking pretty healthy.
And you can see now, I mean, he's got a lot of ammo for that epic AR. And the thing is, they're traversing this little valley here between these 2 mountains with no real pressure against them. So credit to them to be able to have the understanding that there's going to be no one here, maybe kind of built up towards the top of that mountain. But a little bit of a couple of eliminations we have missed across the board here as well. Over at Tomato Temple another time. A nice little flick as well coming in for the damage. And the thing is, I think we can both agree with this. If you want to be a top-level competitive player, you have to be good at the pump.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say, nah. No, but you have to be, because the damage it can do, it can turn a situation completely on its head.
And both of those situations were like prime examples of that pump coming into its effectiveness. Taking the high ground shots, lovely jump shots of the pump, big damage, and it does up to 200.
Yeah.
So you can get one pump.
You see Venox. Actually, we're switching over to
Vilko and Favman.
So we have a lot of Stormwings in the air at the moment for a lot of these teams.
In fact, we've got about 4 or 5 in the air currently.
And considering where the first circle did go, very heavily towards that northern side with, I think, a third of the circle out in the water, you can expect something like that to happen. We need to see a lot of people transition over towards Loot Lake, though. Lothar and Noisy, we wanted to watch them earlier on. The weaponry, they got the hand cannon, they got a grenade launcher as well.
Superb. Got
Rift
that
to go. 10 clingers? Are you kidding me?
These guys are going to present some chaos down on these next fights. If they can find the right angle with that grenade launcher, the right distance, they're going to really ensue some crazy plays.
I'm not tagging along with Mundo and Shadow, as they've been able to build up their own one by ones as well over towards Pleasant. You can see Heracles and Mobsby and Philip. We saw him earlier on. We knew he was already down his teammate, and he was actually running away from a fight before. So I think his goal right now, and I'm pretty sure you're going to agree with me on this, forget eliminations, get top 25.
Yep. Try and get as many points as you can on the placement first. I think a lot of players want to go that route. It is the safest way. Just avoid anything at this point. And as we saw in the first game, 90 players still alive at this point.
So you see 3 teams. Well, technically there's like 5 teams in this general vicinity of where we are. Hupik and Skix actually used a launch pad to take high ground, and I'm imagining they're trying to third party or even fourth party some of these fights that potentially will break out. You have Noisy and Lothar off towards the northern side and a great distance away.
This south side of the circle we see here, it's got 5 teams surrounding it. It's pretty dense of players population there, so they have to be really careful. Obviously there's some guys on top of the hill as well that have angles down on this, so it could get ugly real fast.
We have 6 Stormwings in the air on top of this too, so we're going to see... I don't know. From what we saw in Game 1, no one could have predicted what was going to happen there anyways, so I'm not going to try to predict what will happen with these Stormwings, but the next circle has made its presence known more towards the east side of Pleasant Park, the northwest side of Loot Lake. We do have a little bit of high ground in there, a lot of terrain to be used out of both teams.
What's going on here with Lothar and Noisy? Obviously, the circle's moved and they've taken up the high ground, and we've got Poverty going down.
Yeah, Zeke just ditched him. He's like, all right, Poverty, you're down again. I have to run away from this one. Mokars will secure... Actually, sorry, that was Rykar who had secured that one. They have, I think, now 2 eliminations for the team. And this is the second round in a row now where Zeke's been by himself. However, in Game 1, it was over towards the later stages. This is much earlier on now.
Zeke actually going to take the high ground from Lothar and Noisy as well. As that circle was developed over Loot Lake, Noisy and Lothar actually had to go across the factories and take over from Nero and Tavosky. This building right here is like got our top contenders all in one spot.
Yeah, it does, 100%. And we're going to see how Nero and Tavosky can potentially hold on to both of their lives and make sure they can take this into the late game. Zeke, again, just trying to hold on. Noisy and Lothar, I don't know if anyone actually knows exactly where they are. They still have the circles, so they have that going for them. But the amount of players and the quality of players, I think we should say, around the and look at that shot. Zeke, he wants the limbs.
Zeke with the sniper, then the quick switch to the AR, manages to pick up a down, but can he finish it? Can he get the elimination? He's trying to stop his teammate from getting the revive there, but I don't think he can. He's done all that work for nothing. That is so frustrating. Being, you can claim that lovely 5 points there, Jason, and then it's just taken away from you. Such a skilled shot, such great reaction, switching to the AR, knocking down that wall and finishing it off. Beautiful stuff, but so unlucky that you won't be able to claim it.
Nisik and Stars are trying to actually transition a little bit more and actually running out in the open. Surprised they're not actually being shot out, as Sanjimon not even looking over towards that direction. You have Rykar as well. Really just giving him that free ground. It seems to be almost a... I'm not going to say necessarily a truce between the teams, but teams really trying to conserve some ammo and really try to play off of where this next zone will be going.
Right now, if I could read this mini-map like I can now, I'd love to be in the north side of the circle. It looks a little bit more clearer up there, a lot more space. Oh, I can take a nice breath Maybe have a picnic.
But is that the position you want to be in? Because we do have a lot of high ground, a lot of terrain you can use towards your advantage, especially when we get into, you know, the moving circles. Do you really want to play from the low ground towards the northeast side, or would you rather try to fight your way in to a higher position?
No, I'd rather not. I'd rather just keep to the low ground, keep on north, and you know, if I have to rotate, I have to rotate, and maybe I picked up some rotational items that will fix that problem for me anyway.
So how does Zeke get out of this position? I mean, luckily, again, he still has a circle in his favor. He has enough to build with, but there's so many players around him that it seems almost impossible.
He really needs kind of like a Christmas miracle on the next circle, and that is not too bad for him, but he still has to rotate through a hell of a lot of players.
Oh, you can hear the clingers, and again, we did see 10 for Noisy, I believe that was. Smiley going to be dropping in. He sees, all right, well, there's not very many clean positions I can go to from here. He's going to put his back to the mountain, at least eliminate one of the angles he has to watch for now. But you can see him every time he tries to put any sort of walls down, they get shot up immediately. 5 stink bombs and like 10, I'd say like 9 or 8 clingers left here for the side of Lothar and Noisy. That's a lot of utility to use.
Yeah, but they got to rotate pretty soon, and they've got a crowd of people on top and below them. They need to wait for the right opportunity to rotate. Obviously, I don't think they want to use their rift right now. It's not worth it. They want to try and get into the circle.
I bet Zeke would be happy if they did, though.
Yes, they would.
He'd be like, all right, thank you, guys. I get a free little rotation.
That is very, very true. And they happen to have some of the best talent in that building, and it's pretty damn scary.
Icefire lost a lot of shield here. The Storming's going to be exploded. It's going to be dropped out in this dogfight in the air.
The truce in the air is actually ended now, not sticking around up there now, which is good to see. You know, the player count is looking a little bit healthier than we've seen in the previous.
These aren't scrims. You don't let, you know, people rotate for free. No, there's money on the line here. You don't let something like that happen.
It's very odd when you get into the Stormwing and you're in the air. There's also like a natural truce between the planes. They don't bother each other, providing that you don't bother them. You know, but as soon as that first shot happens, everybody starts firing. It just goes a little bit, you know.
It's just a little bit mad. Mutually
Yeah.
assured destruction. If you fire at me, I'm going to fire back, and we're going to have a nice little battle. Mikey and Marovka, sorry, going to be on the higher ground here as we give a Storming actually in the vicinity as well, which could be taken to fly with if they need to. But with 7-8 players left alive, the Storm is closing in. And this is where things are really going to pop off here for all these players. This is where the eliminations are 100% going to matter. And you have to hold on. Again, Zeke, I believe, is still alive, who's just looking for that top 25. But as we saw earlier on, he still wants to take some eliminations with him.
Of course he does. Of course he does. And it is a very calm circle so far. I'm actually pretty surprised. Not too much hectic fighting going on there, and not many conversions into elimination.
Not yet. That's what we can say. Because look how many people are around this mountainside.
There's
It's
so many people
populated.
So many people are, like, you know, making some quick edits, looking for that, you know, a little bit of damage, maybe poke a few people here and there, but people are just playing so rigid in their 1-by-1s right now.
That's what we saw in game 1.
Yeah.
Especially at this stage of the game, and obviously when the next circle comes in, which actually is, oh my lord, I'd say like a good 80%, if not more, the players are not even in it. This is going to be so hard to retake, but this is where the launch pads are being used. We see already 2 players jumping out just now. The rifts as well could be fantastic for a lot of these players. Lothar and Noisy, I'm actually curious to see where they are still so far in this one.
Seiken King, actually an underdog pair from Tavoski, was telling me that earlier on today. And they've got an A-OK circle, but the problem is that, you know, they've got to go up onto the top of the mountain on that angle, which is pretty difficult.
All right, Lothar and Noisy are still alive. The problem is they're on the very northern side of the Storm right now, so they're going to have to make that transition in the next 50 seconds of time. Tyovsky and Nero didn't really get to talk about them a whole lot in game 1. Looking for some early damage here. You see Hoopex and Skix as well. But he has the Rift in hand, and I'm going to imagine he's going to be looking to use this Rift to go momentarily again to buy some time. Hope other players fight it out. Try to get into the top 25, get those points. And Zeke, he's actually been able to make his way here from Loot Lake. With the amount of players and the caliber of players around him, he's been able to get himself tucked away nicely.
You'd be surprised what you can do solo in a duo. You know, when you don't have a teammate to look after, sometimes making the right decision can happen much, much quicker. You can find those options so much, you know, so much quicker and easier. When you have to communicate with a teammate, it can get a little bit difficult because, you know, you have conflicting ideas sometimes. Should we go this way? Should we go that way? What's the best idea? Should we rift? Shouldn't we rift? But when you're solo, you can make those decisions a lot faster.
That is true. That is true. But always having the ability to be res back up or picked back up, sorry, by a teammate is always a nice little comfort to have in the back of your mind, right? So
knowing somebody's watching your back, so good. And we got a couple of players out in the open here.
yeah, there's a couple players on the open. We have a lot of players here as the circle is looking to close up here as we transition into our next position. So many players trying to ideally survive into this one as Mundo has fallen. And this is where things are really going to pick up here from all the players. This is where the action's really going to kick off, and hopefully for their sake, where they're going to survive and build up a lot of points. You can see a lot of players starting to drop now as we were at 78 before the circle did kick off.
Yeah, and the circle's pushing in real hard here. People trying to outbuild, lots of gunfire going on at the very bottom of that build off there, trying to find the rotations.
Blex and Venox still alive, only with 2 eliminations between the two. The Storm is a moving, and everyone else is as well. We don't know who has the ultimate high ground, but you can see everyone is starting to pick up the pace. Look at the equipment that Blex does have. It's not great, but he is still alive, and that's all that's going to matter. Zakia towards the left-hand side. Macaulay as well going to be dropping back in. Nisik, Venox, Blex as well towards the left hand. I'm actually curious if you see Lothar's still alive, but Hoopek's actually been dropped here on the left-hand side. And they've actually been completely decimated on this one. We can see the transition coming out of all these teams. Hashtag, who won the last game by himself. Not going to have Taboo with them, I think, at this moment. Maybe he can do it in back-to-back games.
No, actually, Taboo is alive.
Oh, he is?
They're actually separated. One on the ultimate high ground, one turtling on the ground warrior scale. This is a very interesting tactic indeed. Obviously, they got separated. Something must have collided with them, so they've had to go their own ways. But that necessarily doesn't mean it's a bad thing.
How is he still alive? Philip, we saw him so early on, and the pressure came onto him. He had to back away from some fights, and he's still been able to maintain the ultimate high ground at the moment. He's still alive, still looking to fight, trying to get those points on the board. You can see Morovka trying to look for this elimination. He does get onto Wilku, who's going to fall. He gets a nice one on the board for him, picks him up to, I believe, 2. And this is the start we need to see out of him. The stink bomb's being thrown in as well. He doesn't have the greatest of weaponry behind him, but he does have the stink.
He's got absolutely no mats at the moment. He's trying to push him for this elimination, finds it, and no, doesn't actually pick up the mats. He has to go back for them. He realized his mistake there very quickly. Luckily, nobody was focusing him because, that could have been very, very sticky, but the high ground is coming down from above. The damage has been done, and we have him eliminated from the game.
We're only down to a few players left. J2 is going to be the one on the high ground now for himself. Phillips is still alive. I don't know how this man is doing. Hashtag has fallen as well as Taboo. Skix, who lost Hoopek earlier on, is still maintaining the low ground as the Storm is continuing to push in towards this right-hand side. You can see J2 trying to play from the backside as well to make sure he can look for anyone transitioning across. Not able to really hit any of these shots, but he's being a nuisance. He has also a first aid kit on top of this with a pump to match.
Looking just for these angles now. He's trying to get that AR in. Lovely. Oh, just tags a little bit of damage onto Denver down there. And now just wants to keep his zone sorted.
Skix has fallen. That's going to be the duo now going to be out of this one. You can see he's trying to jump back in, looking for maybe that Tfue special, but he's going to maintain this high ground position as you pointed out before. He's looking for the placements. 3 left alive. 3 solos as well. There's no duos left remaining in this tournament. Now it's come down to one-on-one. J2, can he pull this off? Rykart going to be below him, looking for the shot.
Richard.
You can see him trying to run out. You see him trying to just survive here. He has no shield really remaining, and J2 can technically just play for healing. He has that first aid. He has the ability to extend this one on as long as he possibly can, but he wants this elimination. He wants this final one.
He's feeling very confident on this high ground. He has the mats to play with. He's going for the Tfue Classic. That was a great read from Richard down from the bottom with the SMG, spamming it up. Finding an angle, but still no damage exchange. This is taking some time, and I think Richard is now out of mats, so this is everything for J2. If Richard cannot find this damage, he's going to be kicking himself. There's many opportunities with this Tfue jump classic. There's a little timing. You can just get the shot in.
Oh my gosh, we're going to the previous buildings as well. Over towards Pleasant Park. He's looking for even more high ground. Is he just going to out-heal this one? He's not even seeming to go for the fight anymore. He still has 6 shots left in the pump. He knows that Rykart has no materials to build with at the moment.
Oh my god,
go for a heal off.
He just went, no, went for the one. He's going for the damage. He's going in deep, and he's done it. Oh my god, Richard goes in crazy there.
But he's back against the wall the entire time with everything above him. Somehow, he pulls that off.
Oh my word. That is incredible. The guts on that man hitting the jump pad, just deciding to go in for it ham. And
he had to, right? He had to in that situation.
He had no mats. He couldn't regain any. There was nothing to farm near him. And Jatu, like, that was the game.
That was his game to win.
Exactly, right?
On that high ground, he could have dropped down. He had the health to work with. He had the opportunity to make something happen. Looking for the pot shots here or there. I'll go for the Tfue special build up under him as he gets the shot off as well. But the composure to be in that situation, to be on the low ground, to still come out with a victory mark, that's not easy.
Dude, sometimes you just got to hit your shots. when you drop in that position,
At the end of the day,
he
it's
hit that
FPS
shot,
game.
baby, and it counted. What a finish that was to round number 2, right?
I mean, Jatu, like, he didn't seem to, like, realize what was happening. Like, you could see the legs flying in and just, oh.
It looked like he wanted to go for the heal off, didn't it?
He did.
Because he took a little bit of damage so he could start healing before the storm does fully close. And then he's like, hey, surprise, I'm here next to you.
He had that option in the, it's in his back pocket, and he wanted to use it as a last resort. But, he was actually doing some fairly okay damage, chipping away at that stack. But both players were pretty even, I believe, on health. And, Richard just made the king decision to go, you know what, let's go for it.
And it paid off. He gets the 65 points. I didn't see how many eliminations he had at the end of things there, but that is a very good start for them. You look at Hashtag and Taboo, they made it really far as well, so I want to say they're maintaining the first position at the moment, but still, that gap they had from the first game has been closed.
I mean, sometimes a play like that can just set you on fire, can't it, for the rest of the tournament? You go into that next game and you're like, right, let's get into it. Let's get into some fights because you've got that confidence in yourself. But I believe that right now we've got Richard and his teammate down with Adam, so congratulations on the victory royale.
Thank you very much, Mark. Guys, what an unbelievable game that was. Richard and Mochars, welcome, guys. You are the victors of Game 2. Richard, I come to you. Walk us through what happened in the last couple of minutes of that game.
Everyone, our server was lagging, and it was very hard to play because there was like 20 players left in the last zone, and it was like playing like a rat between the squeaks, and
you did amazing. You had the lower grounds above you. You happened to battle off, a lot of gunfire coming from the top there. And in the end, you decided to go into the storm and just play for the hits there. How do you feel going into those kind of one-on-one situations?
I don't know. I'm very stressed. I'm playing for my first tournament, and it was amazing, but it's very stressful and nervous.
You seem cool as a cucumber.
My hand is right now shaking very much.
Oh, you didn't notice it at all. You wouldn't notice it. You have obviously got a lot of points on the board now. How does that feel for you guys moving into game number 3 with all those points?
We feel confident right now. We have hope to play next games very nice, and I don't know. Maybe we're gonna make it.
Well, I think we can all agree that you guys did brilliantly there. Congratulations on taking game number 2. Loads more coming your way. We have got, I think, 4 or 5 more games left in this series today. We're going to take a quick break. We're back right after this with game number 3. Do not go anywhere. We'll see you in just a few.